Hello, everyone. This is Keith Jowers with Dads for Life, and I want to thank you for joining us for our first podcast of 2024. Can you believe it? We have started a new year, and now it's just moving right along as well. So this is a very special year for Dads for Life because this is our 20th year of working to encourage, enhance, and enrich dads in what we consider their greatest asset on earth, and that's their children. You see, if we invest properly into their life, then they're going to maybe make the right choices and hopefully lead their children, which will be your grandchildren, down the right path as well. So it's exciting to know that for 19 years, we have been here supporting dads and moms, because we have a lot of single moms that follow what we do as well. And I just want to let you know that I appreciate it. My wife and I have been so thankful over the years to know that people still are following what we do here at Dads for Life. We started with 4 dads, and now we have several thousand across the world and follow what we do. And through all our social medias at the same logo of the same name as Dads for Life, then you can find the different channels that we're out there trying to promote positive fatherhood. Well, this last year, I had just kind of a vision to go in another direction through Studio 425, is to add productions to it, of film productions. So we did that, and mid-year last year, we filmed 3 commercials that you can find in our blog section that are titled Honesty, They're Watching, and Memories Last a Lifetime. So you can find those 3 commercials that we did under that Studio 425 Productions label. And now this year, we're actually moving right into something we have been planning for over a year now. And it's an episodic film series called The Crossroads. You can see it right here above my shoulder. That series will be stories telling you about people's lives and the directions that they're going and the choices that they make, because we all have to make choices in life. And we all face crossroads, don't we? So you'll be hearing more about that in the coming weeks here at Dads for Life. So in our first broadcast or podcast for this year, I wanted to bring somebody very special who I've been trying to connect with, and just happens to be this year and this month, which actually is wonderful because we talk about producing programs, but yet I wanted to invite Mr. Jarod O'Flaherty, who is the writer and a producer and director of a faith-based crime drama on streaming channels now called Vindication. He started with season 1 a few years back. Well, now he's in season 4. So it is caught on. It's great. It's got a great following because it is a wonderful story about, well, it has to deal with crime, but how we make choices and going in the right direction with our faith. So I just want to invite you in and to listen for a few minutes behind the vision and the direction of this wonderful gentleman that I met a while back, but we just now got together to do this podcast, Mr. Jarod O'Flaherty. Welcome, Jarod, to the Dad Connection. I'm so glad that you are with us, as we have been wanting to do this for a while.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Keith. Glad to jump into some conversation today.
Well, good. I know that we actually have talked about different things when it comes to filmmaking and all that stuff in the past, but I really want to talk to you today about, first of all, is what the Dad Connection and Dads for Life is all about, is that we influence dads. We try our best to help dads in whatever aspect that we can. And I know you a dad of how many children?
5. Well, yeah, 5. I have 5 kids. The oldest is 19. The youngest is 1. So, and it's all the same, same marriage, same, all that. It's all, if we just spread them out over 20 years.
Well, that is awesome. I did not know you had 5 children, but that's good. I have friends that have 9, some even higher than that. But no matter if you have 1 or if you have 10, whatever it is, our important role as a dad never ceases, or shouldn't, right?
No, absolutely. It's the most important role that we have going on in our lives.
Well, I just appreciate you being with us. And so we're going to talk about a little bit of things that you're doing with your life right now. And of course, being a dad keeps you busy. What is your favorite part about being a dad, Jared?
Ooh, some of my favorite memories are being in one room and hearing my kids in the other room playing, usually together. It's when you start off, you have the one kid and you're like, oh, I don't think I could ever love anyone as much as this. And then you have a second kid and you go, okay, I can. But then when you see the two of them interacting with each other, or with five kids, it's all the different time. Those are some of the most joyful, wouldn't trade it for the world type moments, is just seeing and observing and being privy to those interactions.
And some of your older ones you've seen actually helping the younger ones, right?
Yeah, well, my three oldest are all teenagers, they're all girls, and they're like little mamas to my younger two kids. So it's neat to see that blossom in them as they grow up, and just have some of those motherly instincts towards what are their younger siblings. So that's definitely a part of the dynamic.
Well, Jared, what do you think the most important thing is when you bring them all together and you're teaching them faith? Okay, what do you think the most important thing is that we can teach a child today about doing the right things in life? Because we see so much of what's going on in the world, and we want to train them up in the way they should go. So, but what do you think is important? Is bringing them all together and teaching them as a lesson, or teaching them individually in the things that they go through?
I think modeling it is the most important factor. You can say and teach and do all sorts of things, but if you don't live that out, then your words really have no value with them. And so I'm fortunate that all of my older kids, none of them have gone astray, so to speak. They all love the Lord. They all follow Him with their lives, and I don't know necessarily it's because I had these wonderful words of wisdom and teaching and all that throughout their years, but they just saw that, hey, my dad, when he says stuff, he lives it out, and I see that. Sometimes that can be, you're stopping to get gas, there's somebody there that needs some help, and so you go in and buy them food and bring it out. You don't make a show about it. You don't stop and, hey, I'm going to give you a lesson. You just do it, and they're sitting in the car watching, and they know, hey, look, he lives out the stuff that he says. So I think modeling it is, to me, just one of the most critical factors, and what I attribute to having children that have grown up and continued in the faith.
I truly believe that, and a few blogs that I wrote recently talk about that kind of thing, because I think if we our show how to treat others, like I was talking to you one time earlier about my grandfather and how he just treated everybody right. He didn't care what race, he didn't care what political party, he just treated everybody right because that's the way he was taught. And I believe if you model that, the most importantly, that your kids are going to pick up at it and pick up with it, and they will see that more than they will actually listen to you sometimes. Don't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and also I think being able to admit failures, admit that you're a flawed person, being self-aware when you have weaknesses can also go a long way. If you're always, instructing them, do this, do this, do that, and they never see that, hey, but you know what? I struggle with stuff too. I miss the mark sometimes. I just think it creates a genuine relationship, an honest relationship, so that, your words do carry value. Because we all know people that their words go in one ear and out the other, because they're not living it, and they're doing the exact opposite thing when the time comes for them to be in situations.
Absolutely. I um I've talked with dads from many dads over the years, and this is our 20th year now, the Dads for Life, and we're excited to see where God's going to take it from this point forward. But over the 20 years, I've heard many stories, and when I'm talking to them or counseling with them, and I'll say something to the effect of well, if your child is having that problem, are they seeing that in you, or whether it's for drugs or alcohol, whatever it is that they're dealing with the problem. And I said, well, they may have or whatever. Well, I try to get them to think about, well, that's what they're seeing and that's what they think that they need to be doing instead of what you're saying, because our actions are so more important than our words are sometimes. So I know that sets in stone. We're not perfect, are we, as dads?
Yeah, definitely not. And I think, again, I mentioned it, but I think that's a critical thing is making that known, not trying to show that, hey, I'm the dad, I'm flawless, what I say goes, I'm always right. Instead, it's like, hey, I'm just a dude trying to figure this out just the same, and I mess up stuff too, and will admit it when I do.
I believe that is so important for us to do that, especially in this day and time. And then I see some of the younger people that I've actually talked with and at church, and I can see that they have been modeled. Their dads have been modeling that as well as the moms, because it takes two, regardless of the situation that you are in. I was a part-time dad, but I never had a part-time heart. My heart was always full. Even our first book that I wrote was Part-Time Dad, Full-Time Heart, because I wanted my child to know that even though I wasn't seeing her all the time, I knew that my heart was always there. And if our heart is always in the right place, then we can't go wrong, can we?
Yeah, no, you got to have that foundation or that starting point, and then go from there. Because if your heart's not in it, people can see through that.
Well, Jarod, I know that you are involved in another project outside of being a dad, and that's where really I got to know a little bit of you, about you, and then I met some people that being in the film business a little myself, and as an actor and director and producer, I actually got to watching a show that you were involved in, and that's why I really wanted to talk to you. Well, God seems to have brought it to the right timing that we needed to talk about it, because you didn't start with just season one and leave it there. You're now in season four of a show called Vindication, aren't you?
Yeah, that's it has become my full-time work over about the last 4 years. So I guess you'd have to say I'm a filmmaker now. It's an all-encompassing and family-wide project. It's not something that dad just goes off and does, that comes home to the family and they're all aware of it. And they all have to make sacrifices, from my wife to my children, just because of how consuming film work can be. You look at Hollywood and the status of families out there. If you ever look up a famous actor or director and look at how many times they've been married, it's never encouraging. And I think it says a lot about what being in that industry requires of people. And so, of course, never want that to be me in my situation. And so the whole family has to buy into what we're doing and know what's going on. And I've been fortunate to have that.
Well, I'll tell you what, I started watching it through a friend of ours, a mutual friend, Maggie Cavanaugh, and who's been one of your cheerleaders out there for the show back in, I think, 2019, right? Is when you started season one.
Yeah, it's when it was released. Yeah.
And then of course now you're in season four. But tell us a little bit for those out there, my connections out there through Dads for Life that don't know about Vindication, a little bit about the show and where they can actually view the show.
Yeah, so Vindication, we call it a faith-based crime drama series. And I think it's pretty unique because you think of crime drama shows, there are plenty of them that are out there. But when you add faith-based to it, you're like, wait, how does that work? And I know me hearing that would think, oh no, this is probably cheesy and phony. And I would say Vindication's the opposite of that. It tells genuine stories, but where God is not left out of the equation. So it follows a detective in season one who goes through a series of investigations, and in each one, you see the fingerprint of God show up in a different way. And by the time you get to the end of the season, this detective, who's I would say is a sideline believer, if that, he starts like going, "What is going on here? Like, I can't get away from this." And his wife, who is a Christian, says, "I think God's trying to get your attention." And so that's kind of the arc of the season. And then as we go into the second, third, and now fourth season, you continue to follow him and his faith journey and learn a lot about the people that are in his life, from coworkers to his boss to his daughter. And yeah, it's just, I think, engaging stories that have a lot of cliffhangers, have a lot of surprises that audiences have really enjoyed. The first season is actually available now on YouTube, which is a great place for people to go in, binge watch, check it out. And then if they like it, then they can find it in some other subscription based type places to continue with the other episodes. But there's no excuse for not being able to find it or not being able to watch, because it's on YouTube, the whole first season right now.
So going back to day one when the first episode aired, you thought, oh yeah, 4 years later I'm gonna be doing season four, right?
Not at all. No, it was a short film. It was just going to be a short film that I made through our church, kind of as a ministry outreach. And I thought it turned out good. I can still remember the moment that we had submitted to a festival that was online. It was our first festival with it. And I logged in to see the winners. And man, they had so many categories, and each one had like first prize, second prize, third prize, fourth. And I'm scrolling down. I'm not seeing my name or Vindication anywhere. And I scrolled and pages and there was every category, short film, this short, and all that. Never could find it. And I'm just like, I thought we did a really good job. I get to the very bottom of the page, best of festival, Vindication.
Oh, wow.
And so that was just a moment of like affirmation of, oh, wow. Oh my goodness, But did I think it was going to turn into a series? No, I just thought we had made something that was a quality product.
Well, that I'm kind of with you now because of a project we're working on called The Crossroads. But I just know that sometimes you take a little bit of something you have faith for, and God turns it into something bigger than what you imagined, right?
Yeah, I had a circumstance. So I worked in the IT industry for about the first 15 years of my career, and even have my own company doing some software development. And in 2017, I had a business meeting that really, for the first time, I'd sent out almost everyone that was a believer in my phone and said, "Hey, would you be praying? This is probably the biggest meeting of my entire life." And so I go in, do a big presentation of our software. We go out to dinner with the CEO of the company. Offers are being made back and forth, but it just became very clear this is not the deal that's meant to happen, and it was discouraging because I've been praying, all day and asked everyone, and people were at, how's it going? What's, keep us updated on this meeting. And I just realized this is not going to happen. And I left there a little discouraged, but couldn't pout about it for too long because 3 days later, I was going to start filming what would be the second episode of Vindication. And it's just amazing to see that had that meeting gone really positive and all the prayers been answered that we were asking for, Vindication as we know it, would have never happened. It wouldn't be out there. And for the hundreds of people that have had acting opportunities, crew opportunities, literally, I won't say million, wouldn't be an exaggeration, people all over the world who have seen it, would have never happened if those prayers I was asking would have been answered the way I thought was right. But obviously God had something else, and something I couldn't have even imagined.
Well, I know that you're onto something special because as a law enforcement officer myself for many, many years, I watch it in anticipation of what's happening next, and actually pulling for some of the officers that are involved. Is don't do that, don't do that, and it's just part of me as of my nature. But I tell you, it's I have recommended it highly to a lot of people, and I hope that people can tap into going back and watching it. You said season 1's on YouTube now. There's no excuse if you're interested in the crime dramas. There's so many crime drama shows out there now, and I just believe that you're gonna take it even further than where it's at right now. So we're gonna watch a trailer right now of season 3. So we'll be right back with Jarod O'Flaherty, who is the director and writer and producer of Vindication.
What we're about to share with you, you cannot tell anyone. Not your best friend, not your priest, not your dog, not your wife. Nobody can know right now.
Yeah, I understand.
Single gunshot wound, close range. They recovered a 9mm hollow point round from the chest cavity.
Right now, all the evidence points to one place.
This is a manhunt. Suspect be considered armed and dangerous.
He isn't guilty of anything.
Something's going on.
I was wondering why they ain't came and got me yet.
Someone is out to get your husband. I don't know why. Maybe you do.
Who did you meet with today?
We don't have enough on Thomas. He's always one step out of reach.
What's the plan? It's in the valleys where we grow the most, not the mountaintops.
What do you do with that knowledge? Or does it change?
Things will last forever. That's what matters most.
Okay, folks. Well, we've been talking to director and writer, producer Jarod O'Flaherty, you just saw the trailer of Vindication season 3, and now we're into season 4, right?
Yeah, so we have filmed 4 episodes of that, and then here in the spring, in just a couple weeks, couple months, we'll start finishing off the season with the final 4 episodes.
Well, I tell you, Jarod, I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today on the Dad Connection, and I think the faith-based projects, they're starting to get some attention, aren't they? Because I know that some of the even Hollywood producers now are looking at some of the projects that are out there. I've talked with the Kendrick brothers and some of the others and what they're doing, and it seems like that we're really starting to catch on, aren't they?
They are. There's an underserved audience out there who, maybe call them middle America, that feel underserved in the entertainment industry, that what they see coming out of Hollywood and the East Coast doesn't reflect their values or their life. And so filmmakers and some companies, because the companies are where the money's at, they've started realizing, hey, there's an audience out here for this. And so they put out some products that have had a really strong response.
Mm. So, and folks, the best way we can do that is to continue that growing is simply by going to the theaters when these movies come out, and then also supporting shows when they come out on PureFlix is where you can find Vindication, and you can start watching all the way back from season 1 and binge it all the way through coming up to season 4. So Mr. Jarod O'Flaherty has been our guest today on the Dad Connection. Jarod, I appreciate your time today. It's taking out with us. I know you're very busy and getting ready for these next episodes you're going to be shooting. So in the final words, just tell us, what do you think is the most important thing that we can do again with our children as a dad?
Most important thing we can do with our children, I point them to the Lord, point them to Jesus. He's the example to follow, and making sure that they know that's where to look. Can't nothing more important than that.
All right. Well, thank you. Folks, you've been listening to Jarod O'Flaherty, the director and writer of Vindication, a great faith-based crime drama. And season 4 will be starting soon. You'll be able to see that on PureFlix. Thank you, Jarod. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, it's been a blast. Thank you.